What would you do if you had a mow? I'd curl up the sides, I reckon.
I reckon I'd do the handlebars.
Yeah, love that.
I'd go full.
That'd suit you.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Katie Brennan. Welcome back to another Conversation in Cars with Toyota Australia. Today we're going to be talking about mental health in the AFL with AFLW star Fleur Davies and former Essendon player Will Hams. Both ahead of the game facilitators, and we can't wait to have a chat. Let's go. Hey guys.
Hi.
Welcome. Welcome to sunny Melbourne.
How good.
We've turned the weather on for you today. So how was the flight this morning, Fleur?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad actually. Nice early wake up. So.
Early wake up from Sydney?
Yeah.
You an early riser?
I am normally, yeah. I feel like you have to be. Like you have to be when you live in Sydney.
Yeah. Is that part of your morning routine? Do you like to get up early and get to the beach?
Get down to the beach, have a swim, go for a walk.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. And Will, your morning so far?
Don't quite have the luxury of getting up and getting into Sydney beaches, so a bit of a morning walk and coffee for mine. Try to get some exercise in some point, and then then get into the day.
Yeah, love that. And is there some things that you often tick off in that morning routine just to help with your mental health?
Yeah, I actually do. I've kind of done a little bit of work at my wind up, wind down sort of routine with sleep. So wind up's pretty much get outside as quickly as I possibly can, smash a glass of water and get moving. So whether that's going to the gym, going for a walk, whatever it might be, but I try to get outside. I know it's often winter's not exactly enticing for that, but certainly now it makes it a little bit easier. But they are kind of my three things that I'd probably go for in the morning.
Just some non-negotiables.
Non-negotiables. That'll set me up for the day, hopefully.
Yeah, love that. And tell us a little bit about your time. You obviously spent some time at Essendon in the AFL and some time at the VFL Box Hill Hawks as well. Did you start to kind of work on those morning routines back then, or have they evolved over time?
Yeah, it feels like a lifetime ago now. So it's been 12 years since I got drafted. So that people always say that it flies by, but it absolutely does. But I guess early days was really just kind of just working out what was going on, trying to find a bit of a routine. I think that's for most of those first and second year players. That's what you're trying to do. You kind of follow the schedule pretty tightly, doing everything that you possibly can, and then once you've kind of found that balance, I feel like you can start to kind of work out what works for you a little bit more. So I think that did take me a long time. Probably wasn't until really my fourth season where I kind of found myself being comfortable with what the routine looked like, what being an AFL player looked like, and then obviously transitioning out of AFL and then going to the VFL was a whole different experience. Getting to work, I was working in construction at the time, so it was like 6:30 start there. Then training at 5:30, then you're kind of getting home at 9:30. So completely, definitely saw the other side, and certainly would have liked to be on the other side a little bit more. But I think over time I've definitely learned a lot around kind of looking after my health and well-being, being able to balance, work, life, family, all of those sorts of things, which time definitely makes a big difference on that, and being able to trial and error on different things.
Yeah, absolutely. And Fleur, you've had 3 years in the W so far.
Yeah,
3 years
now.
Coming off a shoulder injury last year and some surgery. How have you found your first couple of years, and how was pre-season?
Pre-season was good. I actually this year, kind of my third pre-season actually. You're a bit more ready for what you're going to get hit with. You understand everything a bit more, kind of around how it works, what's the blocks, what's coming. So yeah, I think it was definitely good this year.
What have you learnt so far in the journey? What are some of the things that you've taken away? I think every year in the system you sort of add another layer to your knowledge of what it means to be an athlete, how you can take care of yourself on and off the field, and what are the things that you've learnt so far? Yeah,
I definitely think that off-season plays a massive part in how you're going to go in season. And definitely we have a fair bit of time in the off-season to kind of do whatever you want, but I think if you really, take the time in pre-season to get your body right, get your head right, do things that you enjoy, but also do things to prime yourself ready for the season, then that'll definitely help increase, how much you enjoy training in season, how much your body can handle it, and how much mental toll it takes on you, because obviously pre-season for anyone is kind of a lot. But yeah, preparing yourself definitely makes a huge impact.
Yeah, and you're a good Queensland girl growing up.
Yeah.
How have you found the switch up to Sydney? I know the beaches are probably, if not even better than Queensland. I'm a Queenslander myself, and I feel like some of those Sydney beaches are really beautiful. But yeah, how's the move been for you? And has it been difficult at times not having your family around and just the change?
Yeah, I'm still torn on where I like better, Queensland or New South Wales. But no, I love Sydney. Like, I genuinely think it's like the perfect place for me. The beaches, the weather, like, you get your little hint of winter and then you get your summer, whereas like Queensland, it's kind of summer all year round there.
It is, yeah.
But no, I love it. Like, love every single bit of it. And I think moving state, I think I was 17 when I first moved before the draft. So I was pretty young, fresh out of school. But the club really were like that family kind of figure for me, and I had cousins in Sydney as well, which I think made a massive impact. But yeah, no, it was good.
It is the beauty of footy clubs, isn't it? You just instantly find family, whether it is at community club level or at the elite level. I know that when I first moved down, I've been in Melbourne for 12 years now, but it was an instant family at the Darebin Falcons, and it is one of the real pleasures of being a part of a footy club, and it's so good for community. And I hear you guys are doing some incredible work with Ahead of the Game, one of the great foundations of the AFL and Movember of starting. And first question, Will, the Mo, what's in store this year? What's the growth plan, and is it going to be any different to last year?
Yeah, I'm not sure whether the camera can see or not, but my ability to grow a Mo is not my strong suit. I think this is maybe my 8th year sporting the Mo, and obviously coming up to Movember in a couple of months' time. So I will be giving it my best crack. Can't say it's going to be good. I actually remember the first year I did a little article in the paper, and it was probably 15 days into Movember. And I'm pretty sure that the journo got the heads up that obviously this is a Movember campaign, so let's get a close-up of the Mo. And I rolled in, she was just like, it's not very good, is it? Had this milky Mo, so I had to get the dog into the chute just to add some sort of layer. But hopefully it will be a little bit better this year, but certainly we'll be donning the Mo, and a group of mates and myself, we do an event each year called the Changer. We do something different, so we've done some pub Pilates, normally centered around pub themes, but this year we're looking to do Change Up on the Green, which will be a barefoot bowls little day where we'll have a bit of fun, a bit of competition. We'll have a barber there shaving off a few mows and hopefully raise a bit of coin for Movember.
Love it. And does anyone go to, I know, we go the old eyebrow pencil to thicken the eyebrows. Does anyone go the eyebrow pencil just to thicken the Mo a little bit?
Look, I won't lie, I have given it a crack.
We've got some dirt here.
We've got some dirt, but yeah, even the mascara can't do me justice. So I'll see what I can do. I'm not a big clean shaver, so I've just got to go. You've got to go very clean.
Yeah, right.
Very clean to show any remnants of the Mo. So yeah, that's my tack for the month.
What would you do if you had a Mo? I'd curl up the sides, I reckon.
I reckon I'd do the handlebars.
Yeah, love that.
I'd go full.
That'd suit you.
Yeah, handlebars.
What do you call it? The little flick at the side. Do they get gel or something?
Yeah, there's a little bit of wax.
Yeah.
It's they're hot property this season, I think. So I've tried it myself. Just you shave under a little bit, just so you can get a bit of extra and flick it around. But as I said, mine doesn't have too much to show for itself.
Yeah, on that, Movember Ahead of the Game, an incredible initiative by the AFL. Can you guys tell me a little bit more about your involvement in that, and just as facilitators, and a bit more about the program?
Yeah, well, as you said, Movember's a men's health organisation, but broadly speaking, they do a lot of work in the mental health space, and that's where the Ahead of the Game program come on board and kicked off last season, working alongside local community footy clubs and running a mental health and resilience program. So something that really covers young people. 12 to 18 is kind of our target demographic, but also includes a parent session, a coach's session, and really looking to really close the loop and provide that opportunity in community clubs to help teach some of those skills around mental health awareness and building those resilient skills.
Sounds like an absolutely amazing initiative, particularly building those skills early on. I think, even being in the high performance space, you can sort of start to learn those skills later in life, but the ability to learn them early, whether it's in community sport and just as a young person, can no doubt help so much in future life struggles and hardships, and even just the scale of mental health. Like it is a sliding scale, isn't it? Sometimes it can be heightened during hard times in life, and other times you can be cruising and be thriving. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I think for sure. I think challenges are inevitable. We're all going to face them, and for young people at this point in time, we talk about their teenage years, they're often going to go through a lot of challenges, whether that's at home, whether that's through school, whether that's through footy or other aspects of their life. So being able to develop some of those kind of resilient skills is super important, and I think that is what I love about the program. We have 2 sessions with the players, and the first one's all around spotting the signs and looking after a mate, and we teach them around having those conversations with their friends, which I think in society that's something that we're starting to build more and more of, and the awareness of that is going further. And I think hopefully people aren't shying away from those conversations, but the next fold is what do you do with that once you are going through those challenges? How can you look after yourself? How can you spot the signs of yourself and then do something about it, whether that's seeking support or whether that's kind of going into your toolkit of things? And we spoke about our wind-up routines, but other things around how you can regulate your emotions through breath work and mindfulness, or how you can make a plan of attack and look at some of the different solutions that you can go from with the challenges that you got, and being able to reframe your thoughts in a bit more of a helpful manner. These are sort of all the things that we're starting to teach young people, which is probably for something I'm sure all of us have faced challenges in our time, and we've probably had to learn on our feet a little bit, but kind of building those fundamental skills at this time in their life is hopefully going to set them up for whatever they do outside of that, and something they go into. But I think, for me personally, I think I love the fact that we get to go in there first week and run that session, get to know them, build that rapport, and then second week really kind of focus on some of the skills that they can build and hear from them. And I think, I'm not sure about you, Fleur, as well, but I think that is one of the benefits of the program.
Yeah, super rewarding. And is there any memories that stick out for you by way of facilitating that have just made you feel like you're really giving back, and that you're able to really change these young people's lives?
Yeah, I think that when you go to the footy clubs, you're taking away the kit, like the players' training sessions. So you go in kind of thinking, I'm not too sure about how everyone's going to react, but when you go in and everyone is sitting there listening to you, genuinely like wanting to know more, engaging in because they're pretty engaging sessions. So very interactive. We, questions, answers, and hearing that people do feel comfortable in the space and do trust us to like speak up about things, and especially like when the coaches will speak up at the end of the sessions and tell their team lived in experiences. I think that's really special, and like that's the environment that we want to create and kind of what we want to be known for as well. And I think being a facilitator to such young people, especially with being an AFLW player, I kind of want the kids to know that we do care, and if you can make a difference on one person, then that makes such a meaningful impact on yourself. Because at the end of the day, if one person sees you as a friend, even if it is a friend and teammate, someone that looks up to you, someone in your workspace that will come to you and have that conversation that do go unspoken sometimes, then that's genuinely so rewarding.
So great to hear. How can people get involved? Tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few methods. There's Liminal, which is us, is one delivery partner, but one of 24 delivery partners, and that's all across the country. So firstly, they can jump on the AFL website and hit up an expression of interest, or they can go directly to those delivery partners that are in their local area. I think the main thing that people should know is this program is completely free. So, I feel like it just gives community clubs, whether that's in regional areas, metro areas, whatever it is, the opportunity to access a pretty incredible program that's been built out over a number of years through Movember, and obviously having the AFL come on board. So reach out to those delivery partners if you know of them, or you're chatting to a club that's worked with them, or on the socials, or next fall just jump on the AFL website and you'll be able to enter your expression of interest, and those delivery partners will get in touch.
Awesome. We're going to delve a little bit more into the mental health side of things, and we obviously, I guess mental health is close to all of our hearts, given the work that you guys do within this initiative. But can you tell us a little bit more about why you wanted to get involved, and I guess your journey to date?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of people who work in the mental health field in one way or another have been influenced, whether that's personally or somewhere in their life, have been impacted by mental health. And for me, that's no different. Through my time at Essendon, I lost my dad to suicide, and it was obviously an extremely challenging time for me. I was only 20, and just to be able to work through that, both myself but also the family, I learned a lot from that experience, and I think it kind of spurred me on to think about my mental health in a little bit of a different lens, and that's kind of having that more proactive side of what I'm doing. We think about, both of you as athletes, all the work that you put into your physical health to make sure that you're prepped and ready to go through the rigors of the season and be up for games, perform your absolute level. And I think with our mental health, it's just as similar. We need to be doing the same.
Well, thank you for sharing about your dad. No doubt a really difficult time, but you've been doing incredible things to help people, and to, like we talked about, that preventative health, to make sure that people have all the skills and the things that they learn from the workshop to be able to take care of themselves and take care of others too. What about you, Fleur? Is there sort of a story of why you wanted to get more involved in the mental health side of things and become a facilitator?
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, it was like, it's my third season AFLW, but my first year I was inactive. So I did my first whole pre-season, moved to Sydney, and then the week leading into round one, I did my shoulder. So I dislocated it and had the results back, and it was that you need surgery or kind of the ongoing problems. And I think as someone so young, you just kind of want it fixed, and you want it fixed like now, so you can keep playing and stuff. And I think already, like, in that time, having the decision of either staying on the list, rehabbing my shoulder and maybe getting back, or going inactive, opening a spot for someone else to get their chance, which obviously that's the route I went down. But having surgery in that awkward part of the season where everything's starting to kick off, so everyone's traveling on weekends. I went through like my first ever surgery, first ever like proper injury alone, and like no one was really in Sydney. My family was in Queensland, and I think that for me was when like I started really struggling and realising that I was struggling. And I think it took me a long time to actually like realise that like what I was going through was real, because I think being so young, going into a footy environment, moving state is already so raw, like it's already so new like that. And then having surgery, watching everyone else be able to do what you were kind of hyped up to do as well. Yeah. And I think coming out of Queensland, like I was the top ruck prospect on a team with an open ruck spot. Yeah. So it was like talked up the whole season, and then it was almost like I felt like I was letting everyone down. Yeah. So yeah, for me, I think I definitely had to like take a step back, because I got to the point where I was like, I don't want to play anymore. And I think that's a super tough pill to swallow, like being so young, not playing for so long, and when everything kind of starts crashing down, you don't realise what's actually going on, so I really had to, take that time, went back and played, when I finished my rehab, played club footy for a bit, went back to club training, and I found my love for footy again, realising how grateful I am for the opportunity that I had, how amazing the community that I was actually in with the girls and the team down in Sydney, and then having that group back in Queensland where I could train. Everyone was so proud of me, who saw my journey and everything like that. But I think for me, like I've said, being so young, it's not something as people speak about. So if I can bring awareness to that, it can happen and you don't expect it. You know what I mean? I would never have thought in my whole life that I would kind of have to go down that path into such kind of like a dark spot with something I love so much. So yeah, I think for me, all I really want to do is help bring awareness to the young girls as well that do get injured and do have to move state, that you're not on your own and there are people who generally care about you and have your best interest at heart.
Yeah, what an incredible story. I think you speak so well for such a young person and sometimes going through these really tough experiences set you up to not only learn so much about yourself and your journey, and obviously many years to go in the AFLW, and it'll help you with all those years to come, but it also sets you up to help others. And I remember the same thing when I was in those first couple of years of W. I was riddled with injury, and I feel like some of the skills that you learn, your resilience, what you prove to yourself, and how much you can get through. But I think the biggest thing is that when your teammates are in rehab, that you can assist them, and obviously you're going even further, facilitating some of these workshops and assisting young people. I feel like these are some of the skills that you learn inside the high performance environment that can help you in everyday life. But mental health is so prevalent in everyday life. It's not just people in high performing roles that experience it with the pressure. It's everywhere, isn't it? And I think conversations like this is just so important to raise awareness and to know that it is okay. It's okay to speak out. It's okay to ask for help. It's so widespread, and a lot of people are floating on that scale of mental health, and there's so many things that you can do to help prevent your mental health sliding too far, but mainly just asking for help and seeking assistance.
Definitely. And I think, you hit the nail on the head. We all have mental health, but it's kind of how you slide up and down that continuum. Being able to just catch yourself, as Fleur said, when you're at that point, hopefully it doesn't take you too far that you kind of get in the realms where you feel like you're getting unstuck and you're even getting into the stage of mental health. But being able to catch yourself early when you're going through those challenges, speaking up and having those conversations and open conversations with the people around you, because 9 times out of 10 they've probably been through something similar, or if they haven't, they're going to be able to relate to what you're going through or the things that you're feeling. So I think that's a really important aspect of just not trying to just go it alone, but have those conversations and then be able to work with others to do something about it. And I think, Fleur, as you said, going back and having fun, remembering for you, it was just going back and playing community footy and getting that fun and spark back. I think for a lot of us, when we're in that stage where we feel like we're battling a little bit, you lose that fun element. And we do some kind of tools around Happy Child, and that's that kind of idea of what was the thing that made you the happiest when you were younger, and how can you reinvent that or go back into that happy child. So yeah, for a lot of us, it's being able to find that, connecting with our friends, connecting with our family, getting back to the things that actually bring joy to our lives is so important, particularly when we're going through those challenges.
Yeah, Katie, would you have, obviously I would look up to you in the AFLW world, and so would so many other people. Do you have any things for people to keep in mind, or just to know about, getting drafted and going through the pathway?
I think it's a really great conversation about just remembering where you came from and remembering why you started to fall in love with football, whether it's kicking the footy in the backyard with your big brother, or the relationship you have with your parents, or whatever it might be, the community aspect, just the camaraderie, the challenge, whatever it is, just remembering that, because I think you do go through challenges along the way. Like Fleur, you've had your injuries, and there's undoubtedly going to be challenges, and I think that these things really bring you back to your why and why you started playing in the first place, and why you love the game. So there's always the hard work element, there's the there's so many aspects to the game that you want to continue to grow, you want to improve every week, and being really hungry for that. But I think it's so important to just remember why you started as well, and just to keep the love in what you do and the love in the game. It's the best game to be involved in. It's one of the greatest games on earth, and it's just so much fun along the way, but it can be challenging. So yeah, I think that would probably be some of my advice. Always working hard, always trying to improve, and I think even when you are injured, there's always something you can do to get better, whether it's watching film or learning from others, or working on your mental health. The mental side of the game is super important too. And as you said, Will, we put so much time and energy into our physical, strength and conditioning, our rehab, and everything that comes along with it. But I think if you're tapping into the mental side, that's where you can get the edge these days, by just having mental well-being and being happy. But then that can also help you with your performance as well. So
yeah, and I definitely think it's like for the younger people, knowing that everyone, all your coaches, your teammates have your best interests at heart.
100%.
So really reaching out and making sure that you are balancing, because it is a lot as such a young person. And I heard on a podcast once, like, your head is your home. You wouldn't let negative people like that into your head, into your home, so don't let them into your head. And if they are and they're close to you, then really having those conversations early and letting them know, what you're passionate about.
It's really cool. And it's such a important message, because along the way in the elite environment, you get challenged. You get challenged on your performance. Mm-hmm. You might be called out for, behind the goal vision or whatever it might be. And these people within your football club are just trying to make you better.
Exactly.
And it's such an important thing about, continuing to believe in yourself and having that positive affirmations and reinforcement that you are worthy and that you do belong, and all those things when the challenges come. So, guys, some really great conversations today. As we said, Melbourne turned on the weather here at Albert Park. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you both here for Conversations in Cars for Toyota Australia, and thank you so much for the work that you're doing, the insight that you have, and all of those preventative programs that you've been working on. It's been so great to have you, and thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, what a feeling. Toyota.